Just when you thought it was safe to go to Walt Disney World, another accident has happened, this time flinging a man from a ferry and into a trash can. Hello folks, welcome back to the Pro Channel, where we endeavor to explain entertainment, keep you ahead of the culture curve, and that definitely entails talking about the theme parks, specifically the Disney parks. Today we are traveling to Magic Kingdom, but not quite, because one man hoped to go to the Magic Kingdom from the Ticket and Transportation Center, but things did not go all right. He was flung from the ferry when it collided with the dock, and he ended up in a trash can. But it's no laughing matter, and today we're going to tell you what happened, the damages, and perhaps what Disney might anticipate on the horizon when it comes to this new lawsuit. And we're going to provide some levity for you out there. For those of you who think, man, this show is just too heavy, we got to get to something fun. Well, don't worry.
It ain't heavy. It's my pro show.
Exactly. Folks, this is a dandy one. This out of Fox 35 Orlando, and it broke during the show. Of course, we're waiting for breaking news on Disney. This was not the kind of breaking news we thought, but it went soaring into our purview, and so we'll talk about it anyway. And as I read this, folks, I'm just going to tell you, we're not here to make fun. We're not here to mock. We're not here to belittle. We're here to be friendly and nice and kind. But when we get into the story, everybody paying attention? Folks, are you listening? Yes, you. I'm talking to you in your truck or at work or in your cubicle or wherever you might be. I'm talking to you. When we get to this article and when we read the man's name who's in this lawsuit, when we read his name, I don't want you all to be immature. I don't want you to do that, okay? You ready? Everybody good?
I know where this is going.
Florida man sues Disney after ferry boat crashes into dock, sends him into trash can. Lawsuit.
I think Florida man is a great name for a boy or a girl.
Yeah.
Here we go, folks. A Florida man's intended trip to Disney Magic Kingdom was thwarted after the ferry boat he was on crashed into the dock and sent him falling into a trash can, according to a lawsuit filed in Orange County this week. Justin Tripp filed suit on Monday regarding an incident that happened on board a ferry boat from the Walt Disney World parking lot to Magic Kingdom on April 25th.
Justin Tripp. I found you, Justin Tripp. You had a nasty slip into the trash.
I told you not to do it. He was being instructed on the boat by Disney crew members who said he would need to stand for the duration of the ride because the ferry was so full of passengers. Tripp was standing in the back part of the boat. As the ferry approached the docking area, it did not slow down. The lawsuit continued. It wound up striking the dock at an unsafe and high rate of speed, causing passengers to be thrown about. Tripp said he was thrown into a steel pillar where he hit his neck and head and eventually fell into a trash can, which prevented him from possibly being thrown overboard. So this is serious. The lawsuit alleges that Disney crew members did not warn passengers of the imminent collision with the dock and also said the theme park breached its duty to use reasonable care. Tripp said he suffered several injuries, including bodily injury to his neck and head and other parts of his body, pain and suffering, disability, disfigurement, mental anguish, loss of capacity for the enjoyment of life. That sounds like a head injury. Expensive hospitalization, medical and nursing care and treatment, loss of earnings, loss of ability to earn money, and aggravation of previously existing.
But look at the next story there in that box. It's happening all over. Florida woman sues SeaWorld after a palm tree fell on her.
Well, Shamu is the fault of that one. Shamu keeps chewing on the trees.
This is kind of like a theme park version of the birds, isn't it? They're all fighting back.
Well, there's two things I'm looking for in this story. I can control myself now, I think.
Well, once you saw the gravity of it,
yes.
Once you saw how serious this was, you were able to.
Right. There's two items that I usually look for when we have stories like this. The first is one name repeated twice. That would be Morgan and Morgan. And the other is claims in the amount of $50,000. Is that in this article?
Well, I think we read most of it. We'll drop down here and see. 50,000. Yes. Tripp demands judgment for compensatory damages in excess of 50,000, pre-judgment interest, post-judgment interest, and costs. I don't see that there is a listing of the attorney who is presiding over.
I would be shocked if it is not Morgan and Morgan for the people.
For those who don't know, that's the billboard kings of Florida. Everywhere you drive, you see ads.
Doing a lot of lawsuits against Disney.
Yeah, that's the slip and fall lawyers that you call.
at a theme park.
Let me say, and I'm going out on a limb, guys. Had those ladies in England chosen a Florida lawyer, that's who they would have chosen. I'll just say that and leave it there.
I think that's probably well, other than anything they might have chosen specifically because of their agendas and proclivities in,
Anyway,
the accusation at hand.
Anywho, we've got theme park experts on here. Vash, your thoughts on the ferry and the idea of it not necessarily being a safe means of transport at Disney World, or do you think that accidents are going to happen? There's no way around it, and you just have to mitigate.
When you have these large moving vehicles or vessels, there's always a chance that these things go south. Interestingly enough, back in the Paul Pressler, Cynthia Harris days of Disneyland, one person, unfortunately, was multiple people actually struck in the head by a cleat. That when the boat was the Columbia was attempting to be moored, it just ripped off right there because unfortunately due to not the best training in the world, I believe is what the investigation concluded, and the reverse wasn't applied at the proper time. Cleat went flying into the crowd and unfortunately ended up taking somebody's life, which was very, very unfortunate. It's only the second death, I believe, at Disneyland to ever be attributed to the park itself, which was sad. These things have to be taken with a certain degree of, or I would say a special degree of care, when these ferries, by the way, outside of Magic Kingdom, that whole operation is just mind-boggling to me. I mean, coming out from Disneyland and seeing how they're able to load not just one level of that ferry, but two levels if need be, especially at park exit. It's quite the operation, and I think you need people that are extremely well trained and able to navigate the waters, so to speak, without an incident. And when that training, maybe isn't the best, when they're rushing, when maybe labor, right, is being cut back, and you have a person thrust into the role of not just their role, but several others, these are when mistakes happen.
That's right.
I may be connecting too many dots, but I have to think a certain amount of that practice is based on years and years and years of no such thing as OSHA and no such thing as inspections and supervision under Reedy Creek. You get into bad habits when that happens. So who knows? But the other question is, once this story is out, everybody else who was on that boat that day is going to run for their Morgan and Morgan guy, aren't they?
I think that's a fair point. And this is something that Disney deals with on a regular basis. We generally don't get to see the other side of these lawsuits. If there are people who track the individual cases, there'll sometimes be a settlement notice here. But in the early days of the That Park Place channel, it almost got to the point where we had to step away from all the lawsuit coverage from the things that people were claiming over and over and over again.
The wedgie of the day story?
Right. The atomic wedgie from Blizzard Beach. Or was it Typhoon? Probably Blizzard Beach. Or the sudden start and stop of the Peter Pan's Neverland ride. Things like that you have a reasonable expectation. Although being flung into a trash can, that is, I was halfway expecting you to tell me that the name of the plaintiff was Magoo.
All right, folks, we have come to the end of yet another explanation of entertainment and theme parks and fun. And in this case, well, we had a little bit of fun, but we want to make sure we clearly state that we are not laughing at Mr. Tripp, and we wish him and his family the absolute best, truly from the bottom of our hearts. Injuries are no laughing matter. We wish all parties involved a very safe and healthy recovery. Folks, like, share, and subscribe. And you know what? On the way out, click it and stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts on everything in this video. Share this out on your favorite social medias. And remember that the Pro Show is live Tuesdays at noon Eastern every single week. Folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.